If you just opened Claude for the first time and you're staring at a blank chat box wondering what you're actually supposed to do with it, this video is for you. We are going to go through every core feature one at a time so you know exactly what each one is for and when to actually use it. By the end, you'll know the difference between a chat, an artifact, a skill, and a project. What's free, what's paid, and how this compares to ChatGPT if that's where you're coming from. Let's start with the obvious one, chats. This is the basic conversation window, and it's where you'll spend most of your time. You type a message, Claude responds, and the conversation keeps going with full context of everything said before it. But here are three habits that separate a beginner from someone who actually gets good results. First, stop starting a new chat for every small question. If you are working on the same topic, stay in the same conversation because Claude remembers everything said in it, and that context makes every next answer better. Second, if a response isn't quite right, don't retype your whole question from scratch. Just reply with what's missing. Something like make this shorter or focus more on the budget part, and Claude adjusts from where you left off. Third, if Claude starts generating something long and you already have what you need, you can stop it partway through instead of waiting for it. Small thing, but it saves your real time over a week of daily use. Next, artifacts. This is where Claude actually starts to feel different from a typical chatbot. When you ask Claude to build something substantial, it doesn't just dump that content into the chat. It opens a separate panel next to the conversation so you can look at it, edit it, and keep talking to Claude about changes without losing your place. Let's make this concrete with three examples. Example 1, a document. Ask Claude to draft a one-page project proposal and it opens as a document artifact you can keep editing line by line. Example 2, a chart. Ask Claude to compare, say, three subscription plans in a visual table or a bar chart, and it renders that as a live artifact instead of just describing it in text. Example 3, code. Ask Claude to build a simple calculator or a small interactive tool, and you'll see it rendered and working right there in the panel, not just as a block of code you'd have to run somewhere else yourself. One more thing worth knowing. If you build something in an artifact you want to keep using later, you can publish it and it will sit in your artifact section for you to come back to instead of getting buried in an old conversation. And here's the part beginners are usually surprised by. All of this documents, chart, code is available on the free plan. You don't need to pay to use artifacts. Now, skills. This is once less obvious, but it might be the single most useful feature for anyone doing repetitive work. A skill is a set of instructions you say once, and Claude automatically applies wherever it's relevant. Think of it as teaching Claude your specific process one time instead of re explaining it in every single conversation. Here's how you actually build one. Go to settings. You'll need code execution and file creation turned on first. That's a quick toggle in the same settings area. Then click on the plus icon to create a new skill. You'll get a choice. You can write instructions yourself or you can pick create with Claude, which is the easier path for most people. With that option, you just describe what you want in plain language. Claude will ask you a few clarifying questions about your process and then it will build the skill file for you automatically. To make this less abstract, here are three examples of what a skill can actually do for you. 1. A report formatter. You can teach Claude the exact structure your weekly or monthly reports need, and from then on, every report request follows the same format without you specifying it again. 2. A tone of voice skill. You show Claude a few examples of how you write emails, and it keeps every future draft sounding like you instead of sounding generic. 3. A review checklist. If you regularly check documents or content against the same set of standards, you can build a skill that applies that checklist automatically every time you paste something in. Once it's saved, the skill just sits there in your library and Claude pulls it automatically whenever you're doing something it applies to. You don't have to remember to turn it on. Next up, projects. If skills are about teaching Claude how you work, projects are about keeping different areas of your work separate. A project is its own workspace when you can upload reference files and set instructions that apply to every conversation inside it. Here's a practical way to think about it. Say you're managing three different clients. Instead of one long chat where all three clients' details blur together, you can create three projects, one per client, each with that client's own documents and notes uploaded. Every conversation inside a given project automatically has access to that context. So you're not re uploading the same brand guidelines or background info every single time. You open a new chat, and nothing from client A's project leaks into client B's. The separation alone is worth using projects for, even before you factor in anything else. Projects are available on the free plan too, though free accounts get a limited number of them, while paid plans get considerably more, which matters once you are running several workspaces at once. Now, you might be wondering, how is any of this actually different from ChatGPT? Fair question, especially if that's the tool you are used to. A few concrete differences worth knowing. First, context. Claude can typically hold a lot more in single conversation before it starts losing track of earlier details, which matters if you're working with long documents or ongoing projects. Second, writing style. Claude tends to lean towards more careful, nuanced writing and a long document analysis rather than the short, punchy outputs. Third, where the tools have historically focused their energy. Other AI tools have pushed harder into things like native image generation and voice mode, which Claude has focused more on structured work, coding, and documents through projects and artifacts. Neither tool is strictly better across the board, it really depends on what you are using it for. If your work involves a lot of reading, writing, and reasoning through long material, that's where Claude tends to shine. Let's do a recap of what's actually free because this surprises a lot of people. On the free plan, you get charts, artifacts, projects, though within a lower limit than paid plans, skills, and web search. That's a genuinely useful toolkit before you spend a single dollar. Now, what do you do if you upgrade? On paid plans, you unlock Claude's most capable model, extended thinking for harder problems, a much higher usage limit, so you're not waiting around during busy hours, custom styles so Claude can considerably write in your voice, and unlimited projects instead of capped number. Some paid tiers also unlock things like Claude Code for developers and desktop automation tools for more advanced workflows. Before we wrap up, let's go through three mistakes almost every beginner makes quickly so you can skip them. Mistake 1: treating every question as a one shot request instead of conversation when following up usually gets you a far better answer than starting over. Mistake 2: never using projects and re explaining the same background information over and over, when 5 minutes of a setup would save you the every single time. Mistake 3: assuming skills are only for developers, when the create with Claude option means you never have to write a line of code yourself. So here's the honest takeaway. If you are just starting out, the free plan is not a watered down trial, it's a real toolkit. Charts, artifacts, projects, skills, all available before you pay anything. Upgrade when you actually hit the ceiling, not before. If you want a simple one-page reference you can keep next to you while you're exploring these features, I've put together a free cheat sheet. Link is right in this description. That's Claude AI, feature by feature. If this helped you make sense of it, drop it in the comments and see you in the next one.